Tarriela, lumabas lang siya dali ng kape. Nandito rin ang spokesman ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, si Colonel Aguilar. And meron din tayong expert on the maritime law, on clause, si Atty. Batongbacal, Institute of UP College of Law ito, no? Institute of Maritime Law, Maritime Affairs and Law of the Sea. So, nito-indan natin ang dalawa pang academics, si Professor Renato de Castro ng de la Salle University, Department of Political Science, saka isa pang expert, political analyst, si Professor Froilan Calilung ng UST, Department of Political Science. Sino unahin natin?
Alphabetical. Si Colonel Aguilar.
Saan tayo sa A? Tapos ulit sa B. Yes.
Colonel, magandang umaga po sa inyo. Ano pong sitwasyon ngayon sa West Philippine Sea?
Masyadong malawak ang West Philippine Sea para...
Doon po sa may...
Anyway,
practice.
alam mo naman po yung ibig mo sabihin. You may be talking about, number one, our PNP Sierra Madre at the Ayungin Sion. The President was already stated his position that we will never abandon Ayungin Sion. And with that, we expect that PNP Sierra Madre will remain there. And since there are troops that are manning this commissioned vessel of the Philippine Navy, it is the responsibility of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the AFP leadership is very much concerned on the well-being of our people there. Therefore, expect that there will be rotation and provisioning missions to make sure that the basic needs of our people there are attended. So, at the same time, while we are planning for the next Prof mission, we are also monitoring the presence of foreign vessels in that area and all over this West Philippine Sea. And we also monitor the exists some vessels again from China, from other countries, but most of these vessels come from China. Now, I will leave the discussion of the rights, the sovereign rights and jurisdiction of a country in areas such as EPC to an expert. But what I will be discussing here will be the military side of operations. Thank you.
Colonel, since na yung Sierra Madre ay isang still a commissioned vessel ng Philippine Navy, meron po bang budget dito para sa maintenance? May budget para sa maintenance?
There is always a budget allotted to every commissioned vessel of the Navy. As to what amount, I do not know. Probably you can ask the Navy.
So yung simpleng repair, based on what you know, yung simpleng repair, yung pag-welding ng mga nalalagyan na peraso ng bakal, yun po ay pwedeng gawin kasi may budget ang Philippine Navy para sa barkong yun.
It's not just a task to be performed, but it's a responsibility of the people assigned to the commission to maintain its the integrity of its structure. And therefore, it is also our right as a country to do it. And doing it inside our TDC, nothing should prevent us from doing that. I cannot divulge that information.
Ganun, Since ito ay commission vessel, still a commission vessel, no matter how dilapidated, kapag ito ay at ito ay barko ng army ng sundalo natin, Philippine Navy, militar, kapag ito ay hinatak ng barko ng ibang bansa, ano ang doctrine ng Philippine military? Is it a war?
I think I will leave that question first to our subject matter expert here.
Kahit po ito'y grounded, dahil nga ito'y commission vessel, hindi ho ba ang paghatak dito o anumang hakbang, aksyon gagawin ng mga banyaga ay katumbas na rin ang gagawin nila sa isang makabagong barko ng Philippine Navy na naglalayag sa ating teritoryo?
We have rules of engagement on what to do on situations like this. It may be an act already that is may be considered as hostile. But I will leave it to the expert to answer this.
Okay, history, Colonel. Meron bang pagkakataon after the Second World War na pinutukan ng banyaga ang barko ng Philippine Navy?
I can recall no incident.
Wala. May pagkakataon po ba na ang barko ng Pilipinas after Second World War, barko ng Philippine Navy ay hinatak ng banyagang barko?
None.
Ano marching orders? That's in case na daw nila yung ano marching order? Just in case na dapat nila yung
Of course, we resist.
Siguro, Attorney Batongbacal can answer some of the questions raised regarding possible courses of action sa West Philippine Sea.
Well, yung situation na attacking daw yung Sierra Madre, no? Isa yan talaga doon sa mga situation na matagal na rin ako-contemplate. So meron yan sigurado mga rules of engagement na covered na yan. No? Sabi nga ni Colonel, yung basically resist. No? How they will resist is based on the rules of engagement. Pero for sure, kung hahatakin na yan, no, ibig sabihin, you have a foreign vessel, no, attempting to force a Philippine vessel to do something that it does not want to do. So it is basically an attempt to exercise an act of coercion. Okay. So that's why it is a hostile act. Now, yung response to a hostile act, no, again, depends on the rules of engagement. So it's not automatic high level na yan. No? Meron ding mga standards, yung mga responses, yung tinatawag nating proportionality, no? At saka reasonability. So yung mga factors na will come into play. Pero hindi natin masasabi ngayon, theoretically, kung ano yung magiging situation na yan. Well, hindi maganda mag-speculate on the rules of engagement kasi operational na yan eh. Pag ni-reveal mo yung rules of engagement, you're going to tell the other side exactly what it is that they can do. You're telegraphing your so hindi pwede talaga pag-usapan ng rules of engagement. Pangalawa, yung rules of engagement ng armed forces, ano yan eh, bali extension din yan ng foreign policy eh. So hindi ganoon kasimple na kung merong particular rule or particular set of procedures, papabilisize mo na. Hindi tama yan. Kasi maapektuhan din talaga yung overall relations at saka yung paano rin magre-respond yung Pilipinas in case of a situation.
It could even involve yung Congress will have to declare a state of war.
Hindi, yun na yung pinaka-extreme situation. Pero again, kaya nga may rules of engagement is para din, number one, ma-control agad yung incident, no? Yung events. At maklaro din ano yung, kumbaga, maaaring patunguhan nun. No? So, hindi ano yan, hindi yung, kumbaga, may mangyayari lang dyan automatic Congress na yun. No? Kasi kailangan mo rin bigyan ng space, espasyo, yung mga, number one, yung operational units, kung paano silang baka pwede na nilang ma-resolve at their level. Then pangalawa, yung kung mayroong crisis situation, then all the offices of government, all the decision makers who are involved in that particular situation. Okay?
Sa ito yung sa latest behavior ng close na very close na
yung behavior ng China, as I've always maintained, kahit ba nung previous administration, it has always been the same. This is already the second time na winatagkamo nila yung barko na yan. Nangyari na yan November 2021, kung naalala niyo. And before that, and after, nandun na yung dangerous maneuver, yung hinaharang, yung nagsiset up ng mga bangga sila. So, parehong-pareho lang yung behavior nila. So, I think this one, in a way, it's probably, in-testing nila yung current administration. Kasi, napansin na rin namin yan ng China sa bawat pasok ng bagong administration na instigate yan ng potential crisis. Parang in-testing nila ano bang klaseng leader to, ano bang klaseng mga tao ito mga nakapaligid sa kanya. Pangalawa, talagang hinihigpitan na nila yung resupply natin sa unit. Kasi sa tingin nila, malapit na yung pagkakataon para para kusang umulis ang Pilipino. Okay? Kaya pinipigilan nila yung resupply para kusa na lang na umalis. Bali, isosolve natin yung problema nila. Hindi na nila tayo paalisin, hindi tayo kusang aalis kung sakaling hindi na nga natin ma-resupply yung unit. Dahil dito, kumpara mo sa ibang bansa, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, na meron din claims dun sa South China Sea, Philippine Sea. China talaga yung pinaka-aggressive kasi sila lang yung actively namimigil ng mga activities ng ibang bansa. Sa ibang bansa, katulad ng Vietnam, live and let live tayo. And in fact, with Vietnam, mas nare-resolve natin yung mga issue natin. No? And kakaroon nga ng exchanges minsan ng tropa sa isla, sports fest, 2 beses na. So kahit meron tayong mga claims, maganda yung relationship at dahil doon, mas malamang na mariresolve natin siya peacefully in the future. In a way na talagang kumbaga patas negotiation. Hindi kagaya na ginagawa ng China na talagang dinidig tayo kasi nasakal yung supply lines natin at gusto niyang baguhin talaga yung sitwasyon in its favor.
Professor, hindi ko ba yung blockade? Blockade. Isa na ako
Blockade is an act of war kasi nga, kaya rin sinabi ko rin ito sa POCAP no? Kaya rin hindi masabi ng government na blockade officially ito. Although yung mga epekto niya, kung paraan niya pamilya. No? Pero pag sinabi mong blockade yan, that means it is already an act of war. No? Kaya pag ganun, ibang situation yan. No? And sa ngayon, yung ginagawa nga ng China, nag-iingat sila na hindi ito talaga magmukhang blockade. No? Na full-blown blockade ng army. At saka lahat pipigilan na lumapit. No? Mapili sila, kung napansin nyo. No? Kaya talagang, yun talaga yung style nila para nga hindi sila masabi ng mundo na they are committing an act of aggression.
So, this is just brinkmanship.
Gray zone tactics,
Kung halimbawa itong, hindi ako nag-speculate, pero siyempre, journalist, ganito. Ito ba yung pwede nang mag-invoke ang Philippine side ng Mutual Defense Treaty?
Una, pag sinabi kasi natin invoke ng Mutual Defense Treaty, iba-iba yung interpretasyon ng mga tao. And usually medyo extreme yung interpretasyon ng mga tao. Parang pag sinabi mong invoke ng Mutual Defense Treaty, automatic, magde-declare ka na ng gera. Which is not the case. Yung Mutual Defense Treaty is the foundation, yan yung basihan ng security alliance natin with the US. Yung security alliance na yon, umaandar yon, hindi lang dahil sa Mutual Defense Treaty at hindi lang base sa Mutual Defense Treaty. Kaya tayo merong mga ibang activities katulad ng humanitarian and disaster relief, exchange of information, etc. So yung pag sinabing invoke ng Mutual Defense Treaty, medyo siguro dapat iwasan natin yun in the sense na baka naman nami-misinterpret nga na gusto nating magkaroon ng gera. No? Yung Mutual Defense Treaty, yung Security Alliance ng Philippines and US, umaandar sa ngayon. Nagtutulungan na yung dalawang sides talaga. No? Pero syempre, hindi nun ibig sabihin na yung US agad ilalagay mo doon, yung place of us. Kasi hindi naman yung issue to eh. Issue natin to eh. No? Yung claims doon sa ayungin ay only between the Philippines and China. No? Ang US ang position niya, kampi siya sa Philippines because it is already has already been adjudicated, decided by the tribunal na ang Philippines ang mayroong karapatan dyan. Pero in the end, dapat talaga Philippines ang manguna dahil karapatan natin yun, hindi yung karapatan ng US. Okay? So we cannot expect them to be the one in front there. Tayo talaga. The US will have to follow our lead. Kaya nga, nung previous administration, sa position ng government was wala tayong magagawa, wala rin magagawa ang US kung ayaw natin. Ngayon, ito current administration, malinaw na meron tayong gustong gawin, supportan din naman ng US. No? So that is how the Security Alliance works. Support, when needed, yun yung issue.
At this point, let's welcome Commodore Tarriela, who is the spokesman of the Philippine Coast Guard, spokesman of the West Philippine Sea. Iba yung task force ng West Philippine Sea.
Yes, sir.
You're spokesman for the Philippine Coast Guard on the West Philippine Sea. Siguro, let's ask Commodore kung ano yung actual situation ngayon after nung recent incident na lumabas yung tatlong crew members ng Coast Guard na sinabi nila unarmed sila. Ano pa yung ibang report nila sa inyo?
Sa Navy yata yun, sir. Sa Coast Guard, sir,
Hindi
wala
Coast
kami
Guard.
pa-interview, sir, na wala, sir.
So ngayon ano po ang situation? Balikan kay yung tanong niya. In format to. Meron pa bang patrolya o nagbabantay mo ba kayo kung ilan yung foreign vessels na nanduroon sa area?
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat po sa pagpunta nyo rito kahit po Sabado para po bigyan nyo ang statement ng Armed Forces of the Philippines at ng Philippine Coast Guard. Please use ito po yung presence ni Professor J. Batongbacal. To answer your question, sir, after the resupply mission po natin pag-provide ng escort sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, ang dalawang Philippine Coast Guard vessel po ay nag-conduct pa rin po ng resupply sa aming mga Coast Guard personnel na naka-deploy in different occupied maritime features natin. Ngayong linggo po na to, pabalik pala ng dalawang Coast Guard vessels natin sa Palawan. And then, we are still waiting kung kailan tayo ulit makakapag-provide ng escort sa Armed Forces for them to continue their resupply mission sa Indonesia.
May namomonitor pa kayo ng mga foreign vessels?
Ang Philippine Coast Guard po, sir, ay sinusuportahan yung naging statement ng ating Commander Westcom nung nakaraang araw. No? Sinasabi niya na there are at least 400 foreign vessels na namomonitor sa buong West Philippines. Sa Philippine Coast Guard po, we are providing our reports sa Armed Forces of the Philippines and the National Task Force West Philippine Sea. So nag-complement naman, sir. Kung anong data na meron sila, that's also the same data that we have.
Yeah, Commodore, sabihin sa dagat by its flag, a ship will be known. Anong mga bansa ang pinagkulang ng sinasabing foreign vessels na yan?
More than 85% po ng mga bangko na to ay galing po sa China. Ang 15% po na flag, iba-iba na po.
Di po ba may batas sa China na lahat ng bangkang pakislan nila belongs to the Chinese Maritime Division?
I won't pretend that I know that better, sir. No? Since we have an international law expert here, we can address the question to Professor J.
Okay. Ito yung tanong. Ilan ang barko ng Navy ng China at Coast Guard kung sa 85% foreign vessels sa West Philippine Sea?
I'm not sure, sir, kung na-disclose to the Armed Forces of the Philippines, but I I cannot disclose the exact figure as well.
Maliban po sa Chinese militia, Chinese Maritime militia, Chinese Navy at Chinese Coast Guard, mayroon pa bang ibang armadong barko na banyaga sa West Philippine Sea?
We stand with the data presented by the Armed Forces of the Philippines. More than 85% of those vessels came from China, sir.
Meron bang barko ng US Navy?
There were monitored U.S. Navy vessels, sir, but they are conducting freedom of navigation. Tuloy-tuloy ito, hindi ito katulad ng PLA Navy vessels and China Coast Guard, na kung saan nag-stay sila doon at paikot-ikot namin sa ating exclusive economic zone.
May barko ba ng Royal Australian Navy?
I'm not sure, sir.
Japan?
I'm not sure, sir.
Of course, may Taiwan.
Hindi ko rin sure ngayon, sir.
Anyway, dalawa yung questions ko. Merong suggestion na magkaroon ng joint patrol sa Philippines at US on the one hand. And there's another suggestion na magkaroon ng joint patrol ang Philippines at China. Sino ang gustong sumagot dito?
Ako na lang. Anyway, yung mga joint patrols na po yan, pinag-uusapan ko po yung sa taas. Kami sa Armed Forces, ano yung mapag-desisyonan sa taas, we will do it. Doon naman po sa lumabas na informal discussion about joint military drill with China. I think, since it is informal, hindi natin pag-usapan dito. At ayaw din naman ng mga tao.
Dr. Calilung, tatanungin ko po dyan sa joint patrol. Ano ba kung magkakaroon ng joint patrol sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at China? Eh para tayo naglalaro nung ang tawag doon. Yung musical chair, na pag huminto ang tugtog, mag-aagawan tayo sa isang upuan. Hindi ba nagkakawin natin kasama ang China sa patrol?
Yes, I totally agree with that. No? Kaya nga po ang talagang, I don't know, I really find it ridiculous no, that we are going to have a joint patrol. No? Kung ito man ay pinupload as an idea, I think it's really quite funny. No? Kasi parang the problem with China, I think, is like they always employ this gray zone tactics. No? And it's a good thing na alam na natin. No? It's a good thing that we already know this. And China is, lagi ko sinasabi, no, you cannot talk peace and have a gun, as they say. No? So, ang hirap sa kanya, laging may mga provocations na ginagawa, at yung bare minimum hindi niya ibigay sa atin. So, it's really, really difficult. And I guess right now, no, to answer the question, it's really hard for us to have this joint patrol with China. I think it's better that we explore it with other countries. And it's a good thing na nakakatuwa yung nangyari nung Sabado na nailabas ka agad sa media, sa social media, yung mga litrato, yung mga videos ng water cannoning because it sparked a kind of parang domestic interest. No? It heightened the sense of nationalism amongst us, and at the same time, it brought the issue to the international fora again, and nagkaroon tayo ng parang countries rallying behind us. And I hope that this could be a very good or important touch point wherein we could begin more concerted effort, especially in our dealings with other countries, to support us.
Nakikita niyo ba na, of course, yung Vietnam at saka China, sa South China Sea, may kasaysayan sila. Nagbibilangan sila na nagbubuhis ng buhay. Darating ba sa punto na may nagbubuhis ng buhay sa parte ng Philippines and China?
Of course, lahat naman po tayo, what we wanted, of course, is to avert the war or the existence of casualties. Pero I'm not really so sure exactly up to what extent are we going to go to this, kung lalaban ba tayo talaga head-on, but I really think it's not really wise at this point in time. So I think it's best that we still explore other mechanisms. Although, yun nga, time and again, nakakalungkot yung isipin na nagpapadala naman tayo ng mga diplomatic statements, note verbales, every now and then, but I think it's always falling on deaf ears. And I think, ang in-explore ko ng China, I think yung resilience natin, na alam nila na magiging upset tayo, no? Maiinis tayo, pero lilipas din yan. And then until the next incursion or the next provocation comes in. So yung question as to whether we need to go to the full extent of going to war, at this point in time, definitely hindi pa dapat.
Pero bakit parang may duda kayo na may magbubuwis ang buhay ng Pilipino? History-wise, ang ating bansa ay iginatag mula sa dugo ng ating mga ninuno.
Tama po yun, ano? Kaya lang kasi right now, the international law and international environment, of course, dictates that it's better to pursue aspects or prospects for cooperation rather than to tread the path going to war.
And that international law ay hindi kinikilala ng China. Kagaya nung ruling ng Permanent Court of Arbitration.
Tama po yan, ano? And I think kahit nga po itong binubuo natin, I think for the past how many years, 21 years na yata itong code of conduct, no, sa between ASEAN and China, hindi pa rin ma-resolve, no? And I don't know if China will be able to really adhere to this. And I think we need to come up with a very strong position. Ang problema lang dito sa ASEAN Code of Conduct is that many of the other members of Southeast Asia are actually, or of the ASEAN, are actually non-claimant states. And very diverse yung interest ng bawat isa. Kaya po siguro kung sakaling maitatagtag ito, maaaring mahina or maaaring in favor again of China.
I'd like to ask yung dalawang guest natin from Atty. I understand merong bilateral consultation mechanism that's been in place since 2017, ano? At nagkaroon na ng 7 meetings between equal number of diplomats from either side. And it seems na during those years, parang wala na-achieve na in terms of coming up with a peaceful resolution ng conflict sa West Philippine Sea. Anong tingin nyo rito? Is it the end of diplomacy as we know it? Is it a waste of time yung PCM?
Hindi naman siguro the end of diplomacy as we know it. No? I mean, if anything, I think yung bilateral consultation mechanisms na yun, it's actually a record of diplomacy as we know it from China. Sunod-sunod na meeting, I've seen yung I read through yung statements nung first 5, for example. No? Pag tinignan nyo, nasa internet naman yan, makikita nyo pare-pareho lang laman, nag-iiba lang ng location yung mga parte. No? And parang naging ano na yan, naging expected ko na yan lagi, na pag nakita ko na naman yun, ibig sabihin, wala na namang nangyari, wala na namang pagkasunduan. Pangalawa, alam ko rin na internally, bandang 2021, kahit yung sa Philippines, nagko-complain na. Isa dun sa mga issue na nire-raise ang Pilipinas mula pang umpisa ay yung destructive fishing activity ng China, yung clam, digging ng giant clam sa Scarborough. Paulit-ulit nilang nire-raise yun. And every time ang sagot ng China, they will consult back home. Kaya towards the 5th meeting, sumulat na nga yung DNR na alam, parang sinasabi niya, nire-recommend niya sa chair, no, NTF yata yun, na tigilan na natin yun, wala talaga maasahan sa China sa issue na yun. Kaya kung maalala nyo, at one point, si Secretary Locsin, sinabi niya, we will look at the legal options na. Yun yung time na yun, yung plan digging activity lang yun. Tapos, pagdating dun sa usapin ng joint development, nagkaroon nga ng memorandum of agreement, pero nga, deadlock na naman the whole time. Kasi nga, every time na nakikipag-usap tayo sa kanila, may hinahain tayong issue, pero walang nagiging response. I mean, sasabihin lang nila, okay, sige. Nag-uusap lang sila, tapos titingin sa kisame. No? Pero yung action, pagdating dun sa pag-follow up, anong ginawa nyo after, wala natin. So even yung basic na parang kumbaga confidence building na dapat mangyayari, hindi natin nakukuha sa China through the bilateral consultation mechanism. That was during the last administration. So dapat sana ngayong bagong administration niya na mag-iba na dapat, no? Lalo na kung ganyan seryoso talaga tayo dun sa ginagawa natin sa West Philippines.
Si Ambassador Flor Cruz, participant dito sa bisihan niya. Si Ambassador Jimmy Flor Cruz. Di ba? Ano tingin niyo, Professor?
Yes, I agree with that. Ang problema kasi sa China is that it says one thing, but then again, it actually defeats the very statements that it gives, afterwards. And I think it's really hard to deal with that kind of a country. Kahit anong agreement or kahit anong arbitration, kahit na sigurong areglo ang gawin natin, kapag mahirap kausap yung ating katransaksyon, it's going to always fail. No? Halimbawa na lang po itong crisis communications hotline. I think we're aware of this, na may direct line between the President and our DFA at the very least with China. Nitong nangyari itong water cannon incident na to, walang sumasagot sa linya, pero merong agreement na talagang dapat merong ganyan. Pero I think the reason for this is that this is not just something that happened right there and then, na parang spontaneous lang. Kasi kung maalala natin, nung bandang May, I think, if I can recall it properly, na parang tatatlong vessels lang nandun sa area ng mischief tsaka ng ayungin. But last week, biglang naging 32 yata, no? So, ibig sabihin talagang planado. Kaya kahit may communications line kayo at tumatawag ka that there's a crisis, but for China, this is not a crisis. But for us, it is. No? So, yun ang nakakalungkot isipin, no? Na nagkakaroon ng pag-uusap, pero matapos yung usapan na yun, di ba? Pagkatalikod ng China is tinatawanan lang nila tayo.
Ano dapat gawin dun sa hindi matapos-tapos na all of the dapat na ba tayo makipag-usap o wala na?
Sa akin ngayon, sa akin pananaw ko, itong code of conduct na to, if ever we will be able to come up with one, I think this is not going to suffice, no? Yung ating claims, no? Lalo dito sa West Philippine Sea. At the best, I think this will also propel, or further yung advances ng China. Lalong-lalo na nga, nabanggit ko kanina, marami dito sa ASEAN, hindi naman talaga claimant states. At yung iba naman dito, kaalado rin naman ng China. So, kumbaga parang, pag ito ay lumabas, mas lalo nitong matatabunan. Pag lumabas ang code of conduct at ito ay mahina or walang maayos sa enforcement mechanism, matatabunan ito yung 2016 arbitral ruling, maaaring matabunan yung UNCLOS, lalo tayong malalagay sa alanganin.
Doktor, hindi ko matatanong sa mga kasamahan natin nasa gobyerno. Tanong ko sa iyo, ano yung ibig sabihin ng joke na naririnig? Below China, dalawang ambassador. Isa nasa Maynila, isa nasa Beijing.
Very funny actually, pero
Dapo.
siguro si Prof.
May statement naman yata si Ambassador Ridley na medyo matapang na, di ba? Pero matagal nga siyang nananahimik.
Yeah, ang joke kasi kay Ambassador Flor Cruz, mas matagal siyang nakatira sa China bilang bisita ng gobyerno ng China all through his adult life. Dr. A, kayo ba naniniwala na may Pilipino talagang nangako? May pakahatak yung barko?
Hindi po naniniwala. Matagal na rin namin narinig yan, pero wala namang kaming matuntun na posibleng nagsabi nun, mayroong talagang authority. Ipatol, baka mamaya usapang maboboteng usapan lang na siguro. China.
So it's in China lang.
Definitely, it's a lie. It's gaslighting na tinatawag. No? Napapansin nyo, madalas na yung nangyayari yan. No? Pinapaduda ka sa sarili mong posisyon, no? Dahil by saying things. No? Nagbibigay sila ng, or nag-inject sila ng mga sinasabi nilang nangyari, pero hindi ko alam kung totoo o hindi. Kaya nagdududa ka tuloy sa sarili mong posisyon. No? Marami pong ganyan akong makita na, especially in the past few years. No? So gaslighting po yan. Ito po yan, gaslighting.
Part ng Wolf Warrior Diplomacy ata ito. Pati yung ambassador ng YouTube yan. Parang Wolf Warrior na rin ano yun.
Eto, pwede bang managot ang China at least sa diplomatic level? Kung naniniwala si Dr. J, ikaw naniniwala ka na sinungaling dito ang China, hindi mo dapat panagutan kasi sa international stage, internet never forget. Dapat pinapanagot yung mga fake news.
Yeah. Ang ano natin kasi yan, ang dapat nating tanungin kung meron mo talagang mekanismo, no? To begin with, para sila mapanagot. And secondly, paano natin talaga mapapanagot? Ito nga, yung mga ano to, no? mga lies, di ba? Sabi nga natin, a lies repeatedly said eventually will create a pigment of truth, at least in the minds of those people who are perpetrating it. Problem with China is that ito, no, marami silang maraming collective hallucination itong bansa na to, no, to be honest. To begin with, itong mapa, no, yung kanilang 9-dash line, I think it's another figment of their imagination. And then ito nga, no, na sinasabi nila na meron daw tayong pinirmahan, nakasunduan, or whatever it is, when in fact there's none. No? So it's the way of China to tell the world, no, parang nagkakaroon ng legitimizing context yung kanyang mga pahayag when in reality there's none. So I'm not really an expert that much on international law, but I'm not so sure if there are mechanisms, no, para tayo ay para panagutin natin sila.
Sige, Professor.
Ultimately, pagdating sa ganyan, yung mekanismo is yung pag-declare ng ambassador na persona ng grata. Maalala niyo, ginawa sa atin yun ng Tatarba yun. Yung isang sa Middle East minsan, apoy, no? For some reason. No? So pwede rin natin gawin yun kung talagang masama na talaga yung dating niya. No? At para sa akin, pinuint out ko na rin ito kahit sa social media. No? Nakailang strike na si ambassador na talagang hindi dapat katanggap sa Pilipino. Una, nung maalala nyo, last year, yung retrieval ng rocket parts, sabi niya meron daw usapan niya na nagpasalamat pa nga daw, pero kitang-kita doon sa video na hindi totoo. Pangalawa, yung sa laser. Sabi niya hindi daw totoo gumamit ng laser. No? Tapos, siguro dahil nakita yung picture, sabi niya, gumamit ng laser pointer lang daw yun. At sinicheck lang yung speed na talagang katawa-tawa naman. No? Parang niloloko ka talaga. Tapos yung time na sinabi niya na kung parang binantaan niya tayo daw na kung totoong kung totoong inisip natin yung kapakanan ng ating mga OFW sa Taiwan, dapat i-oppose natin ang Taiwan, no? Itong Amerika. So parang tinuturuan pa tayo kung anong dapat natin gawin para pangalagaan yung mga OFW natin, which is clearly a threat, no? Parang mafia na yun eh. So nakatatlong strike na siya noon. Dinagdagan pa itong sinasabi niya ngayon na para tayo mga puppet lang ng US, na US daw nag-mastermind itong arbitration na pinaghirapan natin. No? So, tapos itong sa latest na to. No? So ang dami na, no? Na mga offensive talaga. No? Kung ambassador ka, kahit bagano ka kasama yung relation, ang trabaho mo, no? Ay smooth out yan. No? Kaya nga diplomat ka eh. Kailangan improve mo yung relations kahit paano. Ito, parang malinaw doon sa mga sinasabi niya, mababa ang tingin niya sa Pilipino. Niloloko niya, ginagaslight niya. Tapos, doon sa latest na statement, pinapalabas na niya na puppet lang daw tayo ng Amerika. No? So, para sa akin, offensive yun eh. So, kaya sinabi ko na rin dapat ma-PNC yan.
Colonel Aguilar, anong epekto sa moral ng ating mga sundalo? Kasi seemingly, pag nakikita namin, parang mas matapang ng mga sundalo at Coast Guard. Nung panahon ni Digong, ang sabi niya, ayaw natin, mamamatay tayo lahat pag umaban. And here comes the new president, ang sinasabi niya, hindi siya papayag kahit isang pulgada ng ating teritoryo mawala. Anong epekto nito sa moral ng mga sundalo?
Siguro magtatanong muna ako sa mga sundalo para malaman ko anong response nila sa bagay na yun.
Anyway,
Sa booster ba? Ano ba na nagkaroon moral booster ba yun?
At ganito na lang, kami sa AFP, if there is a mission to be accomplished, we do it. We plan for it, we execute it to the best of our ability. Regardless kung ano man ang administration. But it is very clear to us that when it comes to sovereignty, when it comes to territorial integrity, we have to fight for that. Now, if after the Calilung incident, you will ask us, kumusta ang mga Filipino? I can tell you that based on the reports, mataas ang iba. Hindi siguro napigilan nila na ma-implement na fully yung raw emission. But at least, naipasok pa rin namin. And this will not prevent us from doing more raw emission, especially now that we have the full backing of everybody. So ngayon kasi nakita namin, napakataas ng trust rating namin, napakataas ng approval rating namin. At ayaw namin na ito ay mawala naman. Ayaw namin na parang ma-frustrate ang taong bayan sa atin. We will do what we need to do in order to protect our territorial integrity, to fight for our sovereignty. Although in that particular area, probably at the EEC, we just exercise our sovereign rights. But still, what we do is for the good of our country, for the good of our people.
Commodore, kailan daw huling nagamit yung hotline?
Ang Philippine Coast Guard, China Coast Guard hotline, sir. So far, sir, hindi na natin ginagamit ang Philippine Coast Guard, China Coast Guard hotline. Ang hotline mechanism na natin ngayon ay nasa Department of Foreign Affairs. We have to remember na Memorandum of Understanding that was signed by the former president in 2016 in Beijing na nag-allow between the Philippine Coast Guard and China Coast Guard to have this joint Coast Guard committee meeting and hotline mechanism na sinaayos nga nila ng mga nakaraang taon. It hasn't really provided so much benefits from us. At the same time, nung nakaraang administrasyon din, there are so many incidents na nangyari na. Nagkaroon ng Gilbert incident, nagkaroon ng water cannon incident. There were also a lot of swarming incidents in Julian Felipe. We attempted to use that in the previous administration, pero hindi rin naman natin na nagkaroon ng positive outcome. In short, wala rin nasa. Same thing with the hotline that we have now with the Department of Foreign Affairs. Sa panahon ngayon ng current administration, the Memorandum of Understanding between China Coast Guard and the Philippine Coast Guard was no longer renewed. When President Bongbong Marcos went to Beijing last January, this is one of the MOUs that was proposed by the Chinese Embassy na mapirmahan ng Pangulo. Pero this time, hindi ito na-renew. And right now, anything that concerns the West Philippine Sea, any incidents that happens there, will only be pursued in the Department of Foreign Affairs. So that the hotline mechanism that we have right now with the Chinese government only lies with the DFA hotline.
So, ulitin ko lang po. So yung hotline between Philippine and Chinese Coast Guard, wala nito.
Wala na, sir.
Balikan ko po kasi ang term na ginamit yung attempted to use. Meaning may isang tawag din yung walang sinagot ng China before?
Wala, sir. Wala naman tayong nag-gain dito so far.
Ilang beses nag-attempt ang panig ng Philippine Coast Guard noon na tumawag sa Chinese Coast Guard using that hotline?
Well, I don't have the exact number, sir, dahil wala pa ako sa Pilipinas nung ginamit ito nung nakalalaan.
But anyway, I suppose, dahil ito is spokesperson ng Philippine Sea, ito naman yung nag-aaral din ng history. Pero ang rough estimate, ito ay more than 10, more than 15, more than 20 times.
Well, I would say for all the maritime incidents that happened in the past 6 years, yung panahon ng nakalaang administrasyon, this hotline mechanism was attempted to be used. Unfortunately, it never really gave positive result para magkaroon ng maayos na pag-usap.
Never once na nagkaroon pag-usap using that hotline?
Yes.
So, nandito na si Professor Renato de Castro ng Salle University Department of Political Science. We've been discussing yung situation sa West Philippine Sea. Ano yung pwede mong i-share sa akin?
I-share ko lang sa kanya yung hotline. No, hindi unique yung sa Pilipinas. Meron din hotline ang US and China, and every time nagkakaroon ng crisis, hindi talaga makatawagan ng Pentagon o ng Indo-PACOM, yung Chinese counterpart niya. I think it is a standard operating procedure of the Chinese. Despite the hotline, they would turn it off. The purpose here is, of course, to put pressure on you by cutting off any communication. So, what is the case of the Philippines is not unique. That has also been the stand. Until now, of course, kagagaling lang namin ni Jay sa isang conference ng Indo-PACOM. Ganun din yung nire-raise na issue ni Admiral Aquilino, na even at this point in time, na napaka-tense na situation between the United States and China over several issues, Taiwan, South China Sea. The Chinese do not want to establish any means of communication. I think that's part of their tactic.
Sino nakikinabang at anong dapat gawin para mabalanse kung ano man yung seeming effect ng kanilang non-answering activities?
Pero, alam mo yung situation sa hotline, alam niyo na yan di ba? Pag sinasilent treatment siya ng asawa niya, yan eh. Ganyan lang yan. So, yan eh. Pag silent siya, ikaw yung mag-isip, ano ngayon? Ano to? Anong gagawin ko para mapaamon siya? Ganun yung psychology ng pareho lang. So, yung sagot, di ba? Ganun din dapat tayo. Ano ba ginagawa natin? Sa silent treatment tayo.
Part 3 kasi pag nadidinig nyo yung Chinese position, no? Yung immediately nung pumutok yung crisis, ito napapansin din namin ni Jay every time we listen to them, it's always your fault. No? Kasalanan palagi yan. Nung unang nilabas ng Chinese Coast Guard yun, it's the Philippines fault dahil pumasok sila ang teritoryo namin to. So part yun nung kinakat nila yung hotline. They use crisis situation to really put the other side on the defensive. So every time we establish this, the Chinese do not do it on the basis of good faith. They use crisis as a means to really put the other side on the defensive. Nakita natin yan nangyari sa Scarborough Shoal, 2012. No, talagang palagi yung kasalanan yan. Pumasok kayo dito eh. So ayun yung part ng tactic nila to really put you, especially sa Amerika nga ginagawa nila, paano pa sa Pilipinas na mas maliit na bansa? So, they always deal in a crisis from a position of bad faith. The crisis is not meant to be resolved. The crisis is meant to put the other side on the defensive, to put the pressure on you.
Okay, nagka-excite na. If you read yung inquirer ngayong umaga, merong suggestion si Bahar Mahas na instead of calling the South China Sea as such, let's call it Southeast Asian Sea. Dahil yung 9-dash line na sinasabi ng China na kanila from history, time memorial, panahon pa ng mga dynasties, yun ang claim nila. Can we claim or rename it the Southeast Asian Sea by ourselves and ASEAN? Ano yung posibleng dyan?
Pwede naman yun pero kailangan magkaisa talaga yung Southeast Asia ASEAN plus.
At sabi kasi ni
Pero
mga has,
ang maganda doon nga is, kumbaga, mas marireflect niya yung katotohanan na itong area na ito na natawagan South China Sea, actually maraming ibang mga tao dyan, maraming mga ibang nations sa paligid niya na talagang gumagamit. Kung tutusin, yung China, yung gamit niya sa Southeast Asia, sa South China Sea, ay katiting lang kumpara mo sa gamit ng mga ninuno ng Pilipino, ng ninuno ng Malaysia, ng Vietnam, etc. Kasi yung weather patterns, tsaka yung mga pattern ng tubig dyan, yung circulation ng tubig, mas conducive dun sa Southeast Asia ng mga South. Kaya yung China, minsan lang yan actually napupunta napapadpad dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. Kahit yung sabi lang si Chen Ho, hindi nga nila mapatunayan kung sa Pilipinas, hindi pwede naman siguro. Tapos yung trade ng base doon sa sarili nilang records, naalala ko yung kay Chow Jukwa na parang commissioner of customs, kumbaga nila nung time na yun. Yung records nila, very limited yung information tungkol dito sa Pilipinas, sa Malaysia, Brunei. Takot pa nga sila doon sa mga Bisaya, yung mga pintados. Kasi mga pintados, umaabot ng Taiwan at saka ng Fujian. Nagre-raid sila doon, ng mga pirata, tinatawag nila ng mga pirata. So sila yung takot. Kasi sila, hindi naman talaga sila seafaring nation na katulad ng sa atin. At a certain point, naglayag nga sila, kaya meron po voyages na myth, no? Pero nagsara din sila. At one point, sabi ng emperor, ayaw na niya. No? Kaya sinunog nila yung mga barko nila noon at that point. Nag-isolate sila. So, pag tinawag natin Southeast Asian Seas yan, mas reflective ng history.
Pwede kong dagdagan yung sinabi ni Jay. Again, regarding to sa 9-dash line, ang basis ng mga Chinese, sabi nila, nag-navigate yung mga sailors namin tsaka mga isda namin dito sa karagatan. Sinagot yan ng arbitral ruling. Ang posisyon ng arbitral ruling, hindi lang mga Chinese ang navigate dito. Mga ninuno natin, Indonesians, Malaysians, lahat. May yung mga Japanese, mga Koreans. No, historically, ang tinawag tinawag ni Alfred Tyermahan ng 1900s yung South China Sea as the Asian Mediterranean. Ibig sabihin, karagatan yan para sa lahat. No, kaya ito dapat yung sagot natin sa mga Chino. Hindi natin pwede tanggapin yung narrative nila on the basis of 9-dash line. Oo nga, amitin natin, may mga Chino, mga ninuno ng mga Chino na naglayag sa South China Sea, pero hindi lang sila. Ayan ho yung emphasize ng ruling, ng arbitral ruling.
Professor, take off lang maraming makaka-relate sa paliwanag kasi kanina ni Professor J. Pag sinasalit treatment ka ng reverend mo, alam mo na. Pero ngayon, ang ginagawa niya, pag sinasalit treatment ng reverend, ano yung pag-chat sa iba?
Hindi lang na ipag-chat sa iba, gumagamit pa ng fake news. Na ang sama, ina-articulate pa ng mga iba nating kababayan. No? Katulad na lang yung unang dito, yung sinasabi nila na may agreement. No? Of course, pinikap yan ng mga iba na may agreement. Pero wala naman walang any evidence na pinangako natin na aalisin natin yung BRP Sierra Madre. Wala. At recently, of course, yung sinasabi ng isang media outlet, no, na merong agreement, gentleman's agreement noong 1999. No, hindi pwedeng mangyari yon kasi sa panahon na yon malakas pa tayo. Wala silang magawa kung i-supply natin yung Ayungin Shore BRP. 1999 yan. Talagang kontrolado pa natin yung area na yan. So walang gentleman's agreement. We supply it kasi hindi pa naman ganong kalakas yung China noon. Nagbago na lang yung equation of course nung sa Scarborough Shoal. Doon natin nakita na iba na yung kondisyon na talagang nag-a-arresto pa tayo ng mga Chino noon sa Scarborough Shoal hanggang panahon ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So, walang basihan yung sinasabi nila na mayroong gentleman's agreement na papayagan nila na i-resupply natin. Kasi kaya pa natin noon at hindi nila kaya na i-prevent yung resupply ng BRP Sierra Madre. So siguro mag-iingat rin tayo sa mga ganong klaseng narrative na unfortunately nanggagaling pa sa mga ibang Pilipino, ibang media outlet.
Now, I would like to ask yung Commodore Tarriela. You were quoted as saying na yung mga Pilipino na nag-defend na China should be considered traitors. Can you expound on this? Sino yung mga ito?
Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to explain kung ano yung kinaguhugutan ko sa tweet na to. Well, to start with, ang tweet ko na to is a personal opinion. It doesn't represent the stand of the Philippine Coast Guard or any national government agency, neither ng National Task Force West Philippine Sea. Ang sabi ko sa tweet, kung ikaw Pilipino at ikaw dumidepensa ka sa incheck sa Chinese government sa Chinese Coast Guard, despite of the compelling evidences na nilalabas namin, despite of the videos na nilalabas namin, the photos na nilalabas namin sa publiko, to show the aggressive behavior of China, mukha talagang masasabi na natin, you are unpatriotic. At the same time, I'm sorry to say it, you should be labeled as a traitor. Kasi, ang Armed Forces of the Philippines at ang Philippine Coast Guard ay ready na magtaya ng buhay nila para sa West Philippines. Ngayon, kung ikaw ay isang individual, isang institusyon, or isang kasamahan natin mo sa industriya sa media, na nagdidepensa pa sa China, mukhang may mali na yata. But then again, I also highlighted, I also respect the freedom of expression ng ating mga kasamahan sa industriya ng media, sa ating mga kasamahan din ng mga academic. I respect that. But we should also be very careful sa pag-frame ng mga istorya natin. Kung ikaw Pilipino, dapat ang kwento na pinaniniwalaan mo, yung mga ebidensya na nilalabas ng kapwa mo Pilipino. Hindi ka mag-take side sa Chinese government. Ito yung sinasabi ko, may mali yata. Unfortunately, dito sa mga peddler kasi ng fake news, those people na naging mouthpiece ng Chinese government to spread the lies, sila yung talagang active sa social media. Sila yung nag-share ng kung ano sa Facebook, sa Twitter, sa Instagram. And unfortunately, yung general public, na karaniwang tao lang talaga, minsan nasisway pa nila kasi itong mga fake news peddlers na to, sila talaga yung agresibo. Ay gumagawa ng column sa Janyo, gumagawa ng pinag-uubusan pa ng panahon ng pag-edit ng videos and photos na nilalabas ng Coast Guard at ng Armed Forces of the Philippines to discredit itong transparency initiative natin sa publiko. So, I am appealing now, kaya I call for unity for the Filipino people. Regardless who you supported sa nakarang eleksyon, whether you are pro-Duterte, whether you are pro-administration of the Bongbong Marcos, or whether you supported the Liberal Party, ang laban natin sa West Philippine Sea ay laban ng bawat Pilipino. Hindi to laban ng Coast Guard, hindi to laban ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Ang ginagawa natin sa West Philippine Sea ay siguraduhin natin na magkaroon ng tamang awareness ang bawat Pilipino. Kung patuloy nating hahayaan ang mga fake news peddlers na to na nagiging mouthpiece ng Chinese government, maraming Pilipino na makukonfuse kung ano talaga nangyayari sa West Philippine Sea. It will deviate from the objective of this national government na maglahad ng totoong storya, na magkaroon ng social awareness ang bawat Pilipino at malaman natin kung ano nangyayari sa West Philippine Sea. Kaya ang bawat Pilipino ngayon, kung sakali, I'm calling out to all Filipino na mahilig mag-Facebook, mahilig gumamit ng social media, kung makakakita kayo ng fake news na lumalabas sa feed nyo, at least care to comment, share the right information. This is the only way, na maka-counter natin itong mga fake news peddlers na to. Huwag nating hayaan na mag-proliferate to. Otherwise, sa laban natin sa West Philippine Sea, matatalo tayo. Again, sa said kanina, masyadong agresibo ang fake news dahil alam natin, tayong nananalo dito dahil sa national government, sa Philippine Coast Guard, the academic, the Department of Foreign Affairs, and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, we are the ones leading dito sa narrative na to dahil katotohanan lang ang sinasabi natin. We should be thankful now sa approach ng National Task Force West Philippine Sea. Hindi na tayo nagtatago ng kahit na anong insidente. Lahat ng nangyayari sa West Philippine Sea, we have been very transparent. Hindi lang to para sa international community to support us, but for everybody to be aware na itong West Philippine Sea, ang yaman nito ay para sa Pilipino.
Commodore, ridiculous na kinokasyon pa ang patriotism ng mga fighting for the Philippines. Ano ba ang patriotism? Simple lang definition for or against. If you are against Filipinos, patriotic.
Okay. Question. Sige, let's open the floor for questions. Media.
Good morning, sir. Katrina Domingo from ABS-CBN News. Sir, we'd like to get an update on the AFP's plan to deploy Philippine militia vessels in the West Philippine Sea How is the training now? How many men and women are we looking at? How many vessels do we plan to initially deploy, and which areas or shoals would they initially go to?
Saan po ba nanggaling yung...
Sa AFP chief po, sir, ng press conference sa Palawan earlier this
I
week, sir.
think you're talking of options that are available for us to enhance our capability. And there are so many options. Probably that could be one because we are counting on the patriotic hearts of our people. But all of these options will be properly evaluated to test its feasibility, to test its chances of success, so that when we implement it, we will achieve our objective.
Sir, so right to say that it is still in the planning stages and nowhere near the horizon so far?
Tulad na sinasabi ko, lahat yan ay kinoconsider natin.
Colonel Ted from GMA News. Ano po yung, sabi nyo kasi kanina, kapag may joint patrol with joint maritime exercise with China,
Sabi na namin natin pag-usapan
Kaya
na kasi
huwag natin pag-usapan, ayaw
wala
naman.
namang formal discussion about it.
But can we categorically say na AFP will be rejecting it if may invite ng China?
You better ask the Filipino people.
Pwede kong sagutin yung point head-on. Kasi we conduct military exercises with the United States and Australia kasi meron tayong visiting force agreement and of course status of forces agreement with Australia. So kung seryoso man tayo for a joint military exercise with the PLA, then we have to negotiate or they will have to negotiate. So at this point in time nawala, so the topic is actually moot and academic kasi walang legal basis eh. So nung ni-raise pa lang ni Ambassador yun, ayun ang of course ang issue. Wala tayong visiting force agreement with China. Unless the national government would consider, I think at this point in time, the air is very much against any possibility. Kaya ang very essence, you also have to understand, bakit ba tayo nagko-conduct ng joint military exercise, no? Ang pinaka-essence niya is confidence building. No? Tayo, wala tayong malign intention with China. Obviously, China has, of course, an intention against us. And that is, of course, to deprive us of our exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea. So, sa ng China to, it's using yung joint military exercise to keep us off balance. So, I hope I answered your question.
Luisito Santos sa DC Topic kay Sir Tarriela. Yung binabanggit yung isang araw ay yung ngayon na nagpapakalat ng fake news. So ano ba ito? Mga media entity mo yung pinapartokolan niyo po dito o mga vlogger lang?
Alam mo sir, kaya mong i-google. You can Google them actually. Whether they are, these are media columns or social media posting, you can Google it. Ayoko na silang pangalanan.
Sir, good morning for our academics. Yesterday, Ray Powell mentioned that the Philippines is having a tough time breaching through China's blockade in the West Philippine Sea. Sir, ano po yung primary challenges? Kasi ang common question po ng ordinary Filipino is bakit hindi i-repair yung rotting ship, yung VRP Sierra Madre. I-explain lang po natin sa publiko why the government is having a hard time doing that.
Well, of course, yung Chinese blockade. Kaya nga yung reason nila no? Kaya hindi nakapasok yung pangalawang barge, wooden barge, is because allegedly may construction material. We need to secure the environment before we could do any construction. But of course, at this point in time, nakapaligid doon yung Chinese Coast Guard, yung Chinese Maritime Militia, and of course, according nga sa report ng Coast Guard ni Commodore Tarriela, nakapaligid din doon yung People's Liberation Army's Navy, yung mga gray ship. So, ayun yung major challenge natin. China has a number, And of course, at this point in time, in a way, China is conducting a semi-blockade, which is again, it's a hostile action. No, of course, yung ginagamit nila tubig tsaka hostile maneuvers, but it's tantamount actually to a blockade of a unit shoal.
Sir, ba't nyo ginamit yung semi-blockade?
Hindi pa gumagamit talaga ng army.
Meron bang semi-rape?
Wala akong alam eh. Hindi pa ako ng rape.
Sorry. Is blockade. Once you block,
Hindi pa talaga gumagamit ng dahas eh. Talagang pag umano na eh.
Element ba ng blockade ng dahas? Ay,
Saka-
kumarangan yung barko, hindi makatid.
I think the armed forces will be in a better position.
Si Professor Tarriela, hindi po bang root word, correct nyo ang aking innocence of ignorance, ang root word ng blockade is black. Marangan.
Yes. Pero yun nga, blockade kasi is a technical term. And it's actually used in the laws of armed conflict. Yes, it involves force kasi nga, ang ginagawa mo, i-isolate mo yung isang lugar. Kaya nga pag ginamit mo, ang iniingatan natin dito ay kumbaga, ayaw natin na masyadong na misinterpret. Ayaw pag ginamit natin yung word na blockade at yung ating magiging responses. Siyempre, concern kasi that's a major policy decision. At may involved din dyan yung allies. No? To give you an example, nung Cuban Missile Crisis, 1962-63, no? Kahit ang US, hindi niya ginamit yung word na blockade nung pinakonstrain nila yung pagdating ng yung pinipigilan nila yung pagdating ng mga missiles sa Cuba. Ang gamit nilang term quarantine. Kasi nga, iniiwasan nila yun na sabihin nasa-blockade na sila. Kasi ayaw nilang masabi na nagle-level up na kumbaga yung policy nila to actual armed conflict or warfare. So dapat tayo rin, nag-iingat din tayo sa kanila.
Yeah. As a lawyer that you are, gusto ko pumadro to. Sabi po niya, use of force. Anong use of force? Hindi ko ba yung implied use of force, yung pananakot, is a use of force?
Dalawa yan, no? Sa UN Charter, since World War II, dapat illegal or contrary to international law, ang use of force or threat of the use of force. Yung use of force na-define na yan in international jurisprudence, it requires an armed attack against the territorial integrity of another state, no? Or by units tantamount, controlled by another state, no? Attributable to another state, yung armed attack. Yung armed attack yung technicality na ang hirap maabot kasi nga, ang implication, use of lethal weapons. No? Kaya ang China, iniiwasan yun, ginagamit itong water cannon, at dangerous maneuvers, para hindi nga masabi kung nagpo-conduct sila ng armed attack. Kasi pag ganon, ibig sabihin, we will be entirely justified, no, in using armed force to defend ourselves, no, against that attack. Ayaw nila mangyari yun. Gusto nga nila, makuha nila yung objective nila without anyone saying that they committed an armed attack. Without anyone saying na sila yung aggressor. Kaya tayo rin naman, nag-iingat din tayo na ayaw din natin na kumbaga masukol tayo ng posisyon, no, na sasabihin tayo yung naunang nagsabi na may gera na. Which would happen if we then go out and say na this is a blockade.
Okay. Balik ka rin po natin ang sitwasyon. Ang nagpuprotekta sa Philippine Navy Commission or rented boats, Coast Guard. Kung ang magprotekta po, ang magdala ng provision ay Philippine Coast Guard, ang magbabantay ay Philippine Navy na barko. Pwede po bang gawin ng Pilipinas? So kung ganun ang gagawin, anong impact ito?
Pwede yun, pero sa international law, United Nations Conventional Law, definition ng warship is very clear. It's a vessel in the government service, commanded by a crew who are governed by uniform armed services discipline. Okay? Both Navy and Coast Guard pareho kung dun sa definition na yun. So, ang warship also includes ships or government ships in non-commercial service. Okay? So, warship and government ships in non-commercial service pareho yung public vessel. Okay? And public vessels covered nga ng NBT. So, whether it's the Coast Guard being escorted by the Navy or the Navy being escorted by the Coast Guard, it's the same. Same situation legally. So it's always up to us kung alin yung piliin natin. And yun, depende ngayon dun sa bagay political considerations na are we going to look like we're aggressive? Are we going to look like we're going to provoke tensions? Masasabi ba ng kabila that we're provoking tensions? Yun yan. So ibang decision na yun.
So kahit barko ng DFAR,
Oo. That's a public vessel.
pareho rin yun.
Pareho rin yun. It's a government vessel in non-commercial service.
At may barko ang DFAR.
Meron. At natutukan na rin nun.
Meron akong nabasa kanina, suggestion na gumamit ng helicopters to resupply yung BRP Sierra Madre. Ano, is that
Ginawa na
feasible?
Ginawa na yun noong 2014 nung una. Nagpadala tayo ng helicopter. Nagbaksak pa nga ng Jollibee, mga hamburger. Natatandaan ko pa yun. No? Kasi to lift up the morale of those units. Kaya lang hindi, helicopters can quite carry only so many. So talagang ideal pa rin dapat talaga yung barko ito.
Hindi ba parang pag-helicopter? Ang stand-off naman, ang stand-off niya ay 10 minuto lang.
Tsaka of course yung range din ng helicopters natin. Wala tayong heavy lift helicopter. Katulad ng US Marines or US Navy.
Uwi lang naman.
Ay hindi, at least may Black Hawk na. May Black Hawk na naman.
Vietnam era helicopters.
Ano bang relasyon ko, Commodore Tarriela, ng Coast Guard ng Pilipinas at ng Coast Guard ng Vietnam? Commodore. Anong relasyon ng Coast Guard ng Pilipinas at Vietnam? Nagkakatawagan ba kayo? Both to both?
Well, for Vietnam Coast Guard and Philippine Coast Guard, meron naman tayong good relationships sa kanila when it comes to maritime patrol. For every time na dadaan ng Philippine Coast Guard dun sa maritime feature ng Vietnam, nakakaroon naman tayo ng maayos na radio communication.
Okay. Meron mga lumalabas sa balita dyan, kung sinasabi mo naman sa social media, na parang ang gustong pagkawain ng Vietnam at Pilipinas, na mas marami ng features within our EEC ang kontrolado ng Vietnam. Bakit daw hindi inuutok ng Pilipinas ang Vietnam? Bakit na nagmamalakot sa China? Yung ba'y kasama sa sinasabi mo mga kulang sa patriotism?
But ang issue natin with Vietnam and China Coast Guard, speaking as a Coast Guard officer, I'm aware that we have a very positive relationship with Vietnam Coast Guard. We don't do dangerous maneuver to each other. We don't harass each other. Kahit Vietnam Coast Guard, may mas malalaking barko na sila. They don't also harass Filipino fishermen. And for China Coast Guard, obvious naman, no? They have been harassing us. They have been blocking our supplies. They also go to those areas na maritime features na occupied natin. So, I'm not saying na ang sulat ng ang article na to, news article na to ay pro-China. He may have probably a different appreciation. But let me take this opportunity to explain na ang relationship ng Philippine Coast Guard with Vietnam Coast Guard ay mas maayos. Hindi tayo nagbubulihan, hindi tayo nagkakandak ng dangerous maneuver na makakapag-endanger ng buhay ng Coast Guard sailors. But for China Coast Guard, ito ang obvious na ginagawa nila. Patuloy nilang hinaharas sa mga mangingisda natin, pinahihirapan nila tayo mag-resupply, hinaharas nila ang ating mga Philippine Coast Guard vessels. So, bakit natin kailangan awayin ng Vietnam? Although, it is true, they have occupied more maritime features than China. And then the other thing is, in terms of reclamation, binanggit din dun sa artikulo ng balita na yun, na ang Vietnam daw ay actively na nag-reclaim. We should not forget gaanong laki ng acres of land na ba ang na-reclaim ng China compared with Vietnam. Dapat hindi tayo malito sa usapin na to. No? Ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is yung pagkakaroon ng aggressive behavior ng China. Kaya huwag sana tayong malito na ang pinag-uusapan, China Coast Guard, hindi Vietnam Coast Guard.
Tsaka ano yung kinoconstruct dun sa mga reclaimed features. Well, sa Vietnam, siguro mayroong mga aspect na pero tingnan natin yung China. Tingnan na lang natin anong ginawa ng China sa mischief fleet. Noong 1996, nung inoccupy nila to, sabi sa atin gagawin lang nila shelter for their fishermen. Now it's a major naval and air base. No, every now and then, nagpapadala sila doon ng mga fighter planes, mga transport, at pinamumukha nila, no, kaya na namin dito mag-deploy ng mga bombers, no, mga strategic bombers. Na of course, pwedeng targetin hindi lang ang Pilipinas, and even of course Guam, hanggang as far as Guam. So talaga pinamumukha nila, militarized to, hindi lang to. Although sabi ni Xi Jinping nung kay President Barack Obama in 2015, hindi namin imimilitarize yung mga isla. Pero nakita naman lahat kung gaano nila minilitarize yung mga land features na yun.
Comment na lang ako doon sa Vietnam. Na-obserbahan namin yun. Siguro na ang Commodore. Para sa akin, isang example na yan ng information operations na ginagawa ng mga ibang nandito. No? Pinag-aaway nga tayo, ang Pilipinas at Vietnam. No? At eventually, at the time, hindi namin sure kung bakit. Pero yun pala, ang lumabas, talaga palang deliberate yun. Kasi gusto nilang masabotahe yung recent announcement ng President na yung dun sa farewell ng Vietnamese ambassador, nag-usap sila na magkakaroon daw ng maritime cooperation agreement ng Vietnam at Philippines. So yun pala siguro yung target nun, gusto nilang masabotahe yun. Kasi nga, kumpara mo sa China, kahit ang Vietnam, kahit meron tayong pinag-aagawan ng teritoryo, maayos pa rin yung relasyon natin sa Vietnam. No? At nakikipag-usap pa rin sila ng maayos. In fact, there were times na meron tayong napatay din ng Vietnamese fishermen, no? Sa may Gulinaw. No? Yun, sobrang lapit na yun. Tapos, meron ng ilang beses na meron din tayong hinuli na mga Vietnamese fishermen for illegal fishing. In all of those times, nakikipag-usap pa rin ng Vietnam sa atin. At yung mga fishermen nila, hindi nila ginagawa ng China na sa pilit nila lang pipigilan yung law enforcement natin. Nangyayari na nakapag-law enforcement tayo, tapos dumadaan sa proseso na maayos. Tapos yung nabanggit ni Commodore, yung relasyon ng mga isla at yung mga tao natin dun sa isla, no? Hindi kagaya na sa China na yan nga, ginawatan kanong tayo. No? Sa Vietnam, wala tayong nakukuha gano'n, maayos. No? Kasi nga, mas importante sa Vietnam at Philippines yung ibang aspeto ng relasyon. No? Kaya actually, mas magandang example yung relasyon ng Philippines at Vietnam kung paano dapat ma-handle itong disputes na to at paano siya mariresolve. At siguro, last na lang, ito rin yung sinabi ng isang mangisda doon sa Pag-asa Island kung bumisita ako. Ang Vietnamese na mangisda daw, pupunta sa isang bahura, sa isang fishing ground, tapos sa alis. Tapos kaya sila makakapunisda. So pareho silang nakapunisda. Ang China daw, pag pumunta dun sa isang bahura, hindi na alis. At hindi na makakapasok yung Pilipino. So, kita mo on the ground, magkaiba talaga ang trato. Kaya kahit na nga mayroon tayong, hindi rin alam ito na marami, no? Pero tinulungan tayo ng Vietnam dun sa arbitration. Nag-issue sila formally, nagsubmit sila ng letter doon sa arbitration tribunal na pinapaboran yung posisyon ng Pilipinas. Kaya pareho actually ang policy natin pagdating doon sa treatment ng mga isla at mga bato dyan at saka doon sa mga maritime zones. Kaya essentially wala tayong dispute with Vietnam pagdating doon sa exclusive economic zone. Kinikilala nila na sa atin yung exclusive economic zone. No? Ang issue lang is yung pag-aari ng mga isla bale. And that way, again, naging mas maayos yung relasyon natin kasi yung dispute natin parang napaliit na ngayon. No? Kaya nga eventually, sa tingin ko, mas malamang na ma-resolve natin yung Vietnam and Philippines sa dispute kesa dito sa China.
May dadagdag lang ako sa tingin ko. Ang pinaka-kinakatakutan ng China yung mga other claimant states, yung Southeast Asian claimant states, mag-unite. That is China's worst nightmare. So, ito yung impact nangyayari na. Unang-una, of course, maalala, nung submission ng kanilang baseline, no, una, Vietnam and Malaysia. So, sinettle na ng Vietnam at Malaysia yung issue nila. Then I think 1 or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Philippines and Indonesia. Although Indonesia is not a claimant state. Then recently, I think just this year, nagsettle ang Indonesia at Vietnam at doon nagalit yung China. Doon nag-conduct ng oil survey ang China kasi nakita niya nagkakasundo na ang Indonesia at Vietnam. Paano pa pag magkasundo ang Vietnam? Masettle natin yung ating issue. So magkakaroon na ng settlement among the Southeast Asian claimant states. Ang talaga magiging problema na lang talaga natin, China. That is China's worst nightmare.
Yeah. And also, in addition siguro, no, parang tila hindi nauubusan ng gray zone tactics sa kanilang toolbox ng China. So kung titingnan natin, ito nga yung sa Vietnam, balikan pa lang siguro, no, I think between China and Vietnam, talagang we have a lot more commonality, no, with Vietnam being member of the ASEAN and at the same time siguro talaga yung affinity natin nasa kanila. And I think at this point in time, yung tinatawag nating divide and conquer mechanism or divide and rule tactic is being employed evidently here by China. And not only with us being departing from our traditional allies dito sa ASEAN, gumagamit din ng China, kagaya ng mga propaganda mechanisms. Even in the academe, they are able to infiltrate. May mga tinatawag tayong mga parachute scholars, na pwede nilang gamitin para ilatag yung kanilang propaganda. So, walang pagkakaiba, sa panahon nung nagkaroon tayo ng ikalawang digmaang pandaigdig. Kung maalala natin, yung pinakalat ng Japan, Asia for Asians, Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. It's the same thing that China is employing right now. And I think I totally agree with the good Commodore here when he mentioned that we really need to rise up to the challenge of being more patriotic and try to filter ng maigi, try to be more discerning at wala basta-basta maniwala dito sa mga pinipedal na to ng China. Because the least thing that we want to happen is that mag-self-destruct tayo. We're facing a formidable enemy, if we call it that way. And I think we have to have a very united front in this case.
May chance ba na an enemy of my enemy is my friend? May chance ba magkasundo with India, Vietnam, Pilipinas, magkaroon discussion para ma-resolve ang problema sa tayo?
Well, I think open naman tayo sa ganung possibility, bilateral or trilateral agreement between these countries. But of course, you need to understand, India also has a long-standing conflict there with China. Sa totoo lang, isa ang India sa nangunang mga bansa doon sa tinatawag nating boycott ng mga produktong in-check. Alala natin during the height of the pandemic. So I think we could use that to our advantage if ever India will be open to that possibility.
Dagdagan mo lang, India is also a member ng Quadrilateral Security Dialogue. Kasama ang Amerika, ang Australia, Japan, and of course India. And of course, last month, India finally acknowledged yung arbitral ruling. Their ambassador was in the commemoration event that happened exactly on July 12. Nandun kami ni Jay. Nandun yung Indian ambassador. And of course, in-acknowledge ng India yung importansya ng arbitral ruling.
Now that we're on the subject, anong tingin nyo dun sa plano ng Senate na maghain ng resolution sa UN General Assembly?
Resolution yun directed of course to the executive, but the final decision will have to be made by the executive, by the president. Kasi when it comes to foreign policy, the president of course is the architect of our foreign policy. Again, it boils down to the political decision of the president. And of course, with consultation with the Department of Foreign Affairs and the National Security Council.
But do you think magpa-prosper ito sa
Hindi natin maano yan. Call yan talaga ni Presidente. Kung nakikita niya na talagang kailangan i-raise to sa issue. Kaya lang, tingnan din natin yung implication niyan. Kasi ang implication niyan, every year, our President, every time he would go to the UN General Assembly in September, i-articulate niya palagi yan. So sabihin mo, continuous yan. Tapos yung permanent representative natin, laging ilalabas yan. And of course, pag nag-call tayo ng vote, we can garner some support. Pero of course, gagamitin ng China dyan yung resources niya. Now we can get the support probably from G7, from the European Union, dahil recently nandito yung presidente ng European Commission, 28 member states. We can get, pero about yung mga bansa na kayang bilhin ng China. So it's not a guarantee. No, usually the General Assembly can come out with non-binding resolution. Katulad sa nangyari sa Ukraine. Kasi hindi makakilos naman ng Security Council. So tinatapon sa General Assembly. General Assembly would usually come out with a non-binding resolution. But of course, it depends whether you will get the majority vote.
Yung bang ating, of course, kasi malalaman mo kaibigan ng isang bansa sa armas na kanyang binibili. Yung Vietnam, bumili ng Brahmos. Tayo ba kasama ba sa modernization ng AFP pagbili ng Brahmos? Yan na nila. Kasama sa modernization program ng AFP yung pagbili ng Brahmos ng Israel.
Nasa part yan, nasa plano yan. And lahat naman ng capabilities na kailangan nating makuha para mapalakas ang ating depensa, gagawin natin. Kasama na dito siyempre yung tulad mo na nakaraan yung pag-implement ng mga agreement on EDCA. These are programs that we are implementing under the ambit of Mutual Defense Treaty. At palagay at sinabi na po ng marami, anuman ang ating gagawin sa ating sarili na mapapalakas sa ating depensa, karapatan po natin yun. At walang sino man ang pwedeng makialam na ibang ibang bansa kung paano natin gagawin ito.
Magdagdag ko lang, no? Yung Brahmos, actually, yung Pilipinas yung first customer ng Vietnam dito sa Southeast Asia. So talagang kasama na yan. Yung huli ako nakausap, parang in-expect na nila by the end of the year yung delivery. So kasama talaga yun.
Sige, further questions from media? Sige, siguro 1 or 2 questions tapos yung isa.
Sige.
Nakasama na lang boses mo.
Speak louder.
Ang tanong ko po ay hindi ko ihahain sa ating mga kapatid na unipermado dahil alam ko ay ang magiging sagot niyo po ay depende sa chain of commands. Ang tanong ko po ay ihahain ko sa mga eksperto natin sa political at foreign policy. Ang tatlo nating sibilyan na mga bisita. Kung kayo po ay individual na hihinga ng mungkahi dito sa escalating na sitwasyon natin ngayon, pwede po bang marinig sa inyo, bawat isa sa inyo, kung anong magiging suggestion po ninyo? Thank you po.
Siguro for one, para sa akin, we need to strengthen yung ating capabilities. And when I say capabilities, time and again, we've been talking about military modernization. And I think it's not just about that. Ang hirap kasi rito na lumalaban tayo sa pamilya gusto natin mangyari, pero umaasa rin tayo sa kanila at the same time. So there are 3 things that I really would like us to strengthen ourselves with, And in this way or in this manner, mawawala talaga kahit paano yung impluwensya sa atin ng China. Mababawasan yung ating pagkapit sa kanila. Una siguro rito is that we need to actually empower ourselves domestically, okay, to be able to generate power. Okay? That is very, very important. Secondly, we need to also domestically empower ourselves to provide our own water resources. And thirdly, yung steel manufacturing, I think we also need to focus on that because China, let's face it, is one of the biggest sabihin nating exporters sa atin ng steel. No? So if we will able to have this, siguro mas makakatayo tayo. No? At yung steel na yan is very important. I think we also need to execute ways and means to build our own or to revitalize or perhaps to invigorate the creation of our own shipyard, no? Para kahit paano makasabay tayo doon sa China. I know for a fact that the PRP Sierra Madre is actually being frowned by the Chinese. Sa totoo lang, hindi kung deterrent sa pinag-uusapan natin, I don't know if they're even deterred by that. I think mas natatawa sila, no? Pero para sa atin kasi symbolic ang BRP Sierra Madre, no? But I think it's high time that we also try to modernize. And yung calls naman para doon sa boycott ng Chinese products, to be honest, I think it will do more harm than good. Pero at least nandun yung sentimiento, no? Yun ang pinapakita natin dito is the nationalistic sentiment at the very least. Yun lamang po.
Una-una titignan natin yung nature ng challenge. The escalation right now sa Ayungin Shoal is just a manifestation of a long-term security challenge that even future generations of Filipino would face. China is a determined player. China is determined to become the dominant power in the region. First, taking control of the West Philippine Sea, South China Sea, and eventually, of course, yung water within the first island chain. Kaya dapat paghandaan natin to. Ang pinakaano talaga dyan is we have to come out with a blueprint on how we can prepare the whole nation. It's a whole nation approach. We have to build up, I agree with my colleague that we have to build up the armed forces of the Philippines, we need to build up the Coast Guard, but we need a very stable economy. We need to build up our industry, we need to build up yung power generation capacity natin yan. We have to basically convince every Filipino that they have to invest more when it comes to defense. Kasi ayan talaga yung issue natin eh. Nung panahon na nandito yung bases, we could afford na hindi ganun kataas yung defense budget. Until now, tayo pa rin ang mayroong pinakamaliit na defense budget sa buong Southeast Asia. Less than almost, ideally supposed to be 2%, less than 1%. So masasaad dyan sa isang national security strategy na nandun. Of course, ang national security strategy is only about 5-6 years. But it will be the beginning. Kaya sabi nga ng mga Chinese, a journey of 1,000 miles start with a single step. The first single step is, of course, to prepare the nation, to tell every Filipino, saan ba yung challenge? Dito pa ba sa loob? Pwedeng ba tayo ng communist insurgency kung nadidil na to? Or ang nangyayari na sa labas? And of course, we have to give also credit to the President, no? Every time he delivers a speech sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, sinasabi niya na, ang threat natin nasa labas na. The Armed Forces of the Philippines will have to focus on geopolitics. Kasi ang challenge na talaga sa labas. So ayan yung challenge natin. We have to tell the Filipino nation, the challenge will be long, it will be primarily maritime in nature, and our goal is to ensure that the Philippines develop a powerful maritime capabilities. Katulad nga ng palagi kong sinasabi, the Philippines is an archipelagic state, the Filipino nation is a maritime nation. Ang future ng ating bansa is of course developing our maritime capabilities and of course harnessing our maritime resources.
Wala naman ako madadagdag doon sa mga sinabi ng ating mga kasama. General policy level, tama naman yan. Siguro ang masuggest ko lang very specific actions. Lalo na dahil nangyari doon sa nangyari nung isang linggo. Una, kailangan nang mapasa yung Maritime Zone Bill, Maritime Zone Act na matagal nang umiikot-ikot sa Kongreso, laging napapasa ng House, pero pagdating sa Senado na titigil lagi. Mahalaga yun kasi doon natin maitatalaga talaga kung nasaan yung hangganan ng ating mga territorial jurisdiction, no? Lalo na yung EEZ. Para malinaw talaga, lalo na sa mga Pilipino, no? Hindi lang sa ibang bansa, kundi lalo sa Pilipinas. Nung isang araw may nagtanong sa akin, for example, yun daw ba yung insol pag nasa loob ng EEZ? I mean, dapat basic yan. No? Nasa loob naman eh. So, kaya niya tinanong kasi daw, merong vlogger, gumawa ng video na sinasabing wala daw. No? Pilipino din yun. Kaya dapat para ma-settle yan. No? Una yan. Pangalawa, merong kahit na nilabas na. No? Yung isa dun sa mga balakid sa ating modernization ay yung procurement law. masyadong mahigpit, nakatali tuloy pati yung ating modernization dun sa procurement law. Hindi sila makabili ng ibang mga barko o kaya aeroplano na hindi ginagamit ng ibang bansa sa kanilang armed forces. Tapos hindi sila makapagkontrata ng mga Pilipino na kumpanya, mga shipbuilder for example, para mapunuan yung mga kakulangan ng ating modernization. Dapat niyang maamendihan nun para magkaroon tayo ng sarili nating indigenous na defense industry. Kasi kailangan natin gawin yon para hindi nga tayo nag-depend dun sa labas, para din hindi tayo masyadong maging magastos dahil kailangan bilhin pa natin sa mga ibang bansa na malalayo at mamahalin kung kaya naman natin, di ba? Meron tayong mga shipbuilder sa Nabotas, Malabon na nagpo-provide na, for example, ng mga mas maliliit na mga patrol boats ng Coast Guard, ng Philippine National Police at saka ng Navy, pero hindi sila nagagamit para doon sa mga mas malaking requirement. No? Ngayon, archipelago tayo, marami tayong katubigan, marami talaga tayong pangangailangan ng assets. So, logical lang, tama lang na lahat ng posibleng pagkukuhunan nun, dapat gamitin natin. At isang malaking untapped na resource, yung sarili nating capabilities, yung sarili nating industries. So, dapat payagan natin yun. Gayahin natin yung ginawa ng industry ng Indonesia, kung saan bumibili na rin tayo ng mga ilang assets. Yung pinakamalaking barko ng Navy, yung Dapo del Sur, at saka yung Bianchi Tarlac, Indonesian yun na vessel. Kung kaya ng Indonesia, dapat kayanin din natin. No? Of course, may kailangan yun, kaya nung nasabi, no, na yung steel industry kailangan natin mag-promote. Pero kung talagang may intention talaga tayo na pabutihin yung ating kalagayan, then dapat gawin natin yun. In fact, two-pronged yan. No? Hindi lang yung depensa yung ma-improve natin, kundi yung sarili nating ekonomiya kasi mag-create tayo ng industries and jobs dahil doon. So yun, dalawang konkretong hakbang yun. Then yung pangatlo, mahalaga to para din sa mga susunod na administrasyon. Yung dahil nasabi ni Commodore Tarriela, dapat ang posisyon natin ay para sa Pilipino. No? Baliwala kung pulahan ka, dilawan, kung makulay, at kung sino bang kinantihan mo. Dapat pagdating dito sa West Philippine Sea at teritoryo ng Pilipinas, likas yan ng dagat ng Pilipinas, yung national heritage ng Pilipino, iisa lang dapat ang posisyon. Kaya dapat magkaroon din ng formal na policy, no, na pangmatagalan na nakalagay doon, nakasaad doon, ano ba talaga ang West Philippine Sea at South China Sea at lahat ng iba nating mga karagatan, ano yung intention natin, ano objective natin, at paano natin ito makakamit para hindi na nagbabago-bago bawat administrasyon, lalo na yung posisyon sa China, particular sa China. Pagdating kasi sa ASEAN, mukhang consistent naman tayo, pero problema natin sa China. So yung tatlong konkretong hakbang yun na pwede natin gawin para maumpisahan na natin ma-address itong mga problema natin dito sa West Philippine Sea.
May tanong kay Colonel Aguilar. Seemingly nagtatagumpay ang kampanya laban sa mga komunista. Partner yung NTF-LCAC. Pwede bang magkaroon ng similar body, NTF-LCAC, na ang papangalanan naman ng binabanggit itong si Commodore Tarriela na tila may pagtataksing na ginagawa sa ating bayan?
Meron naman NTF-WPS.
Sila din yun yata.
Yeah, pero
No, it's different.
I mean,
We have the NTF and local communities. You have the WPS and NTF to deal with the issues of
yes.
the West Philippine
Ay, hindi
Sea.
po yun ang...
Ayan na natin sila.
Opo, yung pong tagging na ginagawa ng LCAC. Pwede
Again,
bang magkaroon ng similar body?
Let the NTF-WPS do its work.
Professor, pwede ba yun? Pangalanan? Ayoko tayo sa Commodore Tarriela dun eh.
Being academic, mahirapan ako kasi kumbaga may ibang opinion. Ang approach ko dyan, sasagutin ko. Pero hindi ko siya i-red tag kasi I'm an academic. Sa isang academic environment, you thrive in diversity of opinion. So siguro ang sagot ko dyan bilang isang academic, sasagutin namin. Sasagutin namin siya. 100%. Kung tinanong, at kung nakikita kong hindi tama yan, aanuhin ko siya. Sasagutin ko siya. I will present, of course, I'm an academic, but at the same time, I considered myself a Filipino.
So no tagging, no flagging?
Hanggat maaari. I mean, I'm talking as an academic. Kasi within a university, pag nagkatag ka, in bad faith na yan.
So hindi pagkakaroon ng ito yung mga anti-Filipino, ito yung pro-Filipino.
Kaanihin namin, sasagutin namin siya. Kami ni Jay, kasi being academic, sasagutin namin siya. In fact, ayun, I think, being here is an indication na I'm both a Filipino and an academic na sasagutin namin yan. I know yung uniform service, may hirapan sila. Kaya kami nandito para ano sila. Balansehin, to ensure that the discourse is not monopolized by a single view.
So mas magiging aktibo kayo sa pagbibilang ng barko kaysa pagbibilang ng eroplano ng Amerika na dumadating sa airport?
Oo, tsaka i-differentiate natin na hindi natin sabihin na pareho yun ng mga presence ng mga Chinese ships sa West Philippine Sea.
Sige. On that note, we'd like to end this Saturday's regular forum. At pasalamatan natin si Commodore Tarriela for a very impassioned presentation. Nandito rin si Colonel Medel Aguilar, ang spokesperson ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. At tatlong academics, si Atty. Batongbacal ng UP, Professor Renato de Castro ng De La Salle University, at si Professor Froilan Calilung ng UST. Magandang naging discussion natin, tingin ko exhaustive at reflects various views on the West Philippine Sea. And sana maimbita namin kayo when the opportunity presents itself. Maraming salamat din sa media na nandito.
Sa ngalan ng patriotismo, dadalawin sila pag inimbitahan natin.
We are at your beck and call.
Continuing issue naman to na hindi mo parang tapos ka agad. So, imbitahin namin kayo ulit.
Yung minuno na, yung anak namin. Ako.
Okay. Maraming salamat sa inyo lahat.
Okay, retrato mo na.